Dead Draw Gaming. Like no one ever was.
We will be starting with Daravone S.
And the other person that we'll be seeing is Justin Burns on stream. And so right now they're setting up. And what we know so far is Daravone, he's been on Worlds from 2015 when he came back, and he was known for his Hypnosis No Gravity Bronzong. After that, though, we kind of haven't heard much from him, though, now that he finally hit seniors. But after that, we'll see exactly what he can do this year, now in VGC 18.
Yes, sir. Today he is packing a spicy Blastoise we noticed earlier, as well as Nihilego, Coco, Snorlax, Incineroar, Classics. Justin Burns, very standard team, packing Gengar, Incineroar, the man, Landorus, Zapdos, Fini, and Kartana, who we've been seeing a lot today already.
So we're definitely looking at a semi-standard team running Double Intimidate, most likely Misty Seed Zapdos with the Fini combination. We've got Mega Gengar trapping things in, firing off the Hyper Offense.
I'm excited to see what items these Mons are packing, because depending on what that Nihilego has and what these Kartanas have, that can change a lot of what's happening.
So right away, we're about to get into the match soon. Then we'll be able to start seeing what we got. So here's team preview.
And like we just did, we listed off the teams for you earlier. The matchups seem very well-rounded for both teams. Both can capitalize off different leads that each team has.
One issue that I'm seeing, though, with this Blastoise, though, normally we like to see it in Rain or with Tailwind, which means we might be seeing a Tailwind Kartana coming from that side. We can't be sure yet, but it's very possible to have a Tailwind Kartana.
Also, something that's huge is that Nihilego threatens 3 Mons on Justin's team.
Yeah, we've got Sludge Bomb pressure, we've got Power Gem pressure coming out. That can definitely take kills. Depending on the item, there might be a Hidden Power Ice to kill that Landorus. We'll figure that out once the game starts.
Most definitely. I'm excited to see how these players play this matchup. Snorlax is also something that Justin has to be able to manage himself. The Gluttony Figgy Berry Classic. Just that strong sustain power from Daravone.
Depending on if it's Curse or Belly Drum, though. If that's Curse, then we can definitely see a problem coming out. However, the issue is there's no physical attacker that really has a problem with it, since Kartana's the majority of the time are packing Sacred Swords, so we might just see the Sacred Sword come out to be able to kill or ignore those Curse boosts, but it depends exactly what he's running on that Kartana.
And Kartana, we've been seeing so much Scarf, we've been seeing Sashes, we've been seeing AVs. It could go so many different ways.
So we're about to see match coming up right now. See the leads in a second.
Nothing like a Blastoise to get us started, huh? I could definitely see him leading Blastoise, pressuring with Fake Out, if not Incineroar.
Yeah, that is one thing that Blastoise does have going for it, though, is it does learn Fake Out, which is one of the nice moves just to be able to shut down someone's turn 1 and help set up. So we could see a Blastoise Coco lead. So we see Justin's side, though, Gengar Incineroar, one of the
classic.
Incineroar coming out. So we see Kartana and Blastoise.
Fear
right
the
off
cat.
The bat. So right away, this Kartana can definitely fire off Sacred Sword if it's carrying it into the Incineroar. However, we don't really have a way of stopping that besides Fake Out on top of the Incineroar from the Blastoise to be able to stop it from firing off a Flare Blitz right away into Kartana.
And as you all know, Incineroar does have Intimidate going off, putting both Mons at -1, more affecting the Kartana.
However, that Blastoise will be doing slightly reduced damage if it does go for a Fake Out this turn.
Neither of these leads are going to get very aggressive, I could tell.
We're most likely going to be seeing Fake Out fired off into the Incineroar from the Blastoise, or it might just go off on the offensive turn 1 and fire off a Water move, trying to pick up a kill.
What's very nice about both teams is they both have so many offensive resources that they don't have to preserve them as much as most teams. Not as many support Mons hanging out in the back.
Yeah, probably the biggest support Pokemon on these teams would be the Zapdos, now that we're looking at it. But even then, you could still be firing off Electrium Z from Thunderbolts, and you've got Heat Wave pressure.
And both players opt to Mega Evo on their first turn.
And we see the Fake Out coming out, stopping the opposing Incineroar from potentially faking out.
targeting down that Sludge Bomb, or targeting down that Blastoise slot with Sludge Bomb.
We do see a Poison picked up, and right away we see a Z move coming off.
Ooh, baby.
And that is a Flynium Z. So like we thought, that is a Tailwind Kartana coming out right now. So we are going to start seeing some crits fired off with the +3 to the crit ratio coming from Focus Energy.
And that poison is unfortunate for Daravone, but it is not the end.
The damage taken on that Blastoise means if it is carrying Water Spout, it most likely will not be pressing it now, since it does it based off of your health, and being that low, that move's doing about as much as a Water Gun's doing.
And you do see some players opt to run both Water Spout and Water Pulse. If he's packing the other one, that could come very handy for him.
So right away, we see the Sacred Sword coming out into that Incineroar, and that is doing very little damage.
Baby damage at that -1 from Intimidate, unfortunately.
We see the Water Pulse, what looks like it was firing into the Gengar. So we assume that that's going to do some good damage to it.
And we're slowing down, but...
We'll see exactly what happens once this comes up. We've been having some slight issues with the capture card, but hopefully we'll see exactly what pans out. So my assumption is that there was a...
He had to have targeted down Incineroar and ended it, and then trading out with Gengar for the Kartana.
The Incineroar definitely went down here, but that Kartana also died from most likely a Shadow Ball from the Gengar, we would assume, to pick up that kill. But we do see the Nihilego coming in, and it is under Tailwind, so this thing will be outspeeding everything at this point.
Absolutely. And we cannot forget that critical hit ratio that got shot up.
So now that the Kartana's down, there's not much to pressure this Tapu Fini except for the Sludge Bomb from Nihilego. This Blastoise really has nothing to cover this. So if that Nihilego does end up going down, depending on what's in the back, there might be nothing to touch this Tapu Fini still sitting here.
And he does protect because Tailwind is indeed up still, so a Water Pulse from Blastoise would threaten the Gengar very much.
So we are seeing the double protect coming out just to stall out one of those turns of Tailwind, just to try and alleviate some pressure. We see the Power Gem fired off from the Nihilego into that slot.
Yes, sir.
So we see a double actually into the Gengar as we let the poison tick down on him. So this Blastoise will be going down next turn unless it is healed up somehow.
So now he really has to figure out what to do because he knows these two moves are coming into his Mons, and all Daravone has to do is just press buttons into the slots.
So most likely we might see a switch out into something. However, there's not many defensive switches on this team that are going to enjoy taking a Water Pulse and a Power Gem. So if anything that would take it the best, it would be Kartana, but with 0 special defense on that thing, it probably goes down to the double up anyway.
Definitely. Both players taking their time to choose these moves.
And we do see the Power Gem again coming out, and it is outspeeding Blastoise, which might mean something.
But that doesn't do enough damage to... Oh, and he's going to clean it up with Water Pulse.
So it does end up going down. The Gengar does finally drop, so the Shadow Tag is removed, and he is able to start making moves, but we see him.
Most likely into the Nihilego slot to end that.
So that is Waterium Z Fini coming out, which has been picking up some popularity by players.
And then Poison will clean up the knockout on a Blastoise.
So we might see a double knockout coming this turn for Justin. As we do see Nihilego, it does drop from the Waterium Z from Fini.
We do not tank those. Thank you very much.
We are definitely looking at a double kill this turn, and this Tapu Fini is still sitting in a really good spot depending on what's in the back. If it's maybe the Tapu Koko, it'll definitely pressure it. However, we're still sitting in the situation that Tailwind just dropped. So as long as... And we do see the Kartana coming out from Justin's side. And the Koko was in the back, so there is pressure on this Tapu Fini now. However, that Kartana can definitely pressure it with a Leaf Blade.
Justin doing an incredible job preserving his offensive threats.
So now we do have one in the back. This Kartana could potentially be firing off a kill into the Koko. From the Tapu Koko's perspective, you do have to try and take out this Tapu Fini in case it's carrying Calm Mind. As we do see the Thunderbolt fired off into the Kartana slot, maybe predicting a Protect.
That most definitely has to be an Assault Vest, eating that Thunderbolt like that.
So we can't, and we do see the Leaf Blade coming out. It doesn't pick up a kill, which is good to know for a future game, but the Moonblast will definitely finish it off.
So Justin Burns will take game 1. 2 Pokemon left. We could see what Daravone will do with this information he took from the game 1.
So the most important thing that he did probably learn from that game 1, though, is that is a Tapu Fini with a Waterium Z, which means it might be Scald or Hydro Pump that it's firing off of, just for a one-hit nuke.
And did you see that Kartana eat the T-Bolt in terrain, meaning it has to be Assault Vested?
Yeah, that Kartana is most likely Assault Vest with how well it just took that hit. So we can see that Kartana probably has the move slots to be able to cover that. So we can see a knockoff potentially, which is a common move that's been picking up with Assault Vest Kartana. So that can pressure out the Snorlax in case you wanted to go for a slow mode.
How do you think Daravone has to lead going into this game, too?
I definitely do like the Blastoise lead. The Blastoise, however, the poison was really unfortunate. The 30% roll on the Sludge Bomb did hit it, so...
Definitely, because he never had to target down that Blastoise slot with Fini after that.
Yeah, after that poison picked up, sadly there was nothing that he could do to preserve that thing, since this team does not have any heal pulse, and since it is Mega Blastoise, there is no berry or anything to be able to help heal it back up after it gets low. So we could be seeing the Blastoise come back again and try and pressure things out. However, we don't know exactly what else this Blastoise have. We've only seen Fake Out and Water Pulse throughout this.
So this AV Kartana has a lot of utility in Justin's matchup against this team.
Yeah, there's really not too much outside of Incineroar and potentially a Snorlax that can actually stop this Kartana. However, Snorlax definitely doesn't enjoy taking Sacred Swords from the Kartana, though.
And we will be getting into this game, too.
So we'll see exactly what's led here, but we assume that Kartana is definitely going to be a big factor for Justin now that we've seen that it is Assault Vest Kartana.
Oh, totally.
The Nihilego also dropping in one turn does not help for the amount of damage that it could have done to the team, so we do see the same exact lead coming out for Justin, the standard Incineroar plus Gengar.
Yeah, Justin's probably feeling very good about how he led last game.
And we do see the exact same leads coming out. Maybe Daravone's hoping that this time there is no poison coming out, because the poison definitely did shut down how much the Blastoise could do, and being able to just ignore it, knowing it'll die soon.
We do need to see Daravone play a little more passively than we saw last game. I don't know, getting away with just swinging moves into those Pokemon, they'll tank those and fire back.
Yeah, we learned that Gengar took very little damage before. The Nihilego Power Gem into that thing, it only did 50% to it, which could mean that that's a bulkier Gengar, which means there might be a little less pressure coming out, but it did still what we assume was a Shadow Ball into the Kartana to be able to kill it turn 1 last game. We don't know for sure, though, just because of the stream drop.
It's also just very common for players to overestimate the neutral damage they can do to a Gengar.
We'll see exactly what comes out as we see both Megas coming out, and we might see a Fake Out again going into the Incineroar slot to stop it from going for Fake Out. However, that got out of there, so this is going to do very little damage to that Kartana. And we do see the Shadow Ball coming out again, firing into Kartana turn 1, and it does live the hit. So we can now see Tailwind coming up, and we do see just how much this is going to be able to do next turn, and we do now have a very fast Blastoise out there.
Maybe he'll capitalize on this high critical hit ratio more this game.
And now that we do have Blastoise, though, we got to see exactly what it's going for, because Blastoise last time was weakened, so if it is carrying Water Spout, this is going to be a very good time to go for that Water Spout.
Definitely.
We've got it's at full health just where it wants this Water Spout, doing 150 base power at full health to both of the Pokemon. So we are definitely going to see a lot of pressure coming into this Gengar and Kartana. However, seeing as it is AV Kartana, it'll take it a little nicer, but
it'll take it very nicely. He has to swing into that Kartana slot with his Kartana.
Yeah, we're most likely going to be seeing a Sacred Sword or something pressuring down the Kartana.
And I think both mons protect here. Or no, wait, he has AV.
Assuming it is AV, so the Sacred Sword does come out, and it does half to
baby
that Kartana,
damage.
But we do see the Water Spout being revealed. Is this enough to pick up the kill on that Kartana, though? And it takes it.
Making it rain.
So we see the Leaf Blade fired off into that Blastoise, and it is not enjoying that hit. It does hang on, though,
he ate
5 health.
And that is actually very unfortunate for Justin, because with this speed boost, he just has such an offensive amount of pressure here.
But we're not going to be able to see that Water Spout fired off again, since now that Blastoise is almost dead, that Water Spout's doing 0 damage, so we're going to have
and he really doesn't need it now. He just needs the Water Pulse into that Gengar slot if he can threaten the Kartana. Yeah, we're just going to see the Water Pulse
fired off now. As Kartana does go to pick up the kill and get the Beast Boost to get that +1 to attack, as we see a critical hit coming off, but not really mattering at that low of health. And we're probably going to see a Water Pulse fired off into this Gengar slot to try and weaken it.
And if he can't clean up this Kartana, that Beast Boost will definitely... Ooh.
We see an Icy Wind tech coming out of this, and that might possibly pick up both
that
of them.
That was super nasty.
So we see both of them dropping to that Icy Wind. So this Gengar now holds on for another turn, and depending on what's in the back, it could get another hit off.
See, an Icy Wind is one of those moves that picked up so quickly in popularity, but then as all these Defiant users started coming into the meta, people started to drop Icy Wind a little bit more because they don't want to swing that into those Mons and give them the boost. But
Exactly.
Justin opting to keep the Icy Wind, and that being the perfect move for the scenario he was just in.
As we see Tapu Koko and Nihilego coming back in, so we see the exact same four from the previous game. And from this situation, he is doing much better compared to the previous game. As we see a Tapu Koko staring down a Tapu Fini, and it sure enjoys that matchup. It's going to lose terrain, but it can still pressure a ton of damage into that Tapu Fini.
Definitely.
And as we saw from game 1, that Nihilego does have the power jump, and that does 50% to that Gengar. So Gengar is not
I think
safe.
we'll be seeing Gengar protect again, obviously, to stall out Tailwind a little bit more. If Daravone can read that, that'll come in handy for him for sure.
If there is any boosting moves, he might go for it now. However, there is very few Calm Mind Kokos out there. I've only seen 1 or 2 myself. But we do see the Incineroar swapping in here. And so from here, depending if he targeted that slot, he could pick up a kill on it. As we do see Gengar protect to be able to try and stall out this last turn of Tailwind. We'll see exactly what happens afterwards.
A little bit of stream difficulty. It'll be right back in a sec.
But we can assume that there's probably going to be a Thunderbolt, as we saw from the last time.
And he most likely went for a Poison-type move into that Incineroar slot, judging by the amount of damage it did.
Yeah, if that was a Power Gem, that might have also just been a Thunderbolt. And that
I think he tried to cover the Gengar slot as well, but like I said, he did protect, trying to stall out that Tailwind.
That might have just been Thunderbolt, though, into an... If it is Assault Vest Kartana, though, it can't be Assault Vest or Incineroar as well. So we're most likely looking at a very bulky Incineroar then.
And once Tailwind goes away, this might come down to a decisive speed tie between Gengar and Koko.
Yeah, most definitely. From here, we're going to be seeing the speed tie fire off. And we do see the Tapu Koko protect.
Expecting the poison move into that slot.
And it did lock into Sludge Bomb, like you said. So we see over 60% as we see an Icy Wind fired off from the Gengar, dropping the Nihilego speed. So from here, though, the Tapu Koko did not eat the Icy Wind, and so we might be seeing another speed tie, assuming both of them are max speed invest on the Gengar and the Tapu Koko. We are definitely looking at a speed tie coming out from this. However, this Nihilego, though, still is pressuring these Sludge Bombs, though. We're still looking at a kill on the Fini. However, the Tapu Fini does
have that Waterium Z that it showed us last game.
But it does decide to go passive, maybe fearing both threats coming out onto it.
And Koko will win the speed tie.
And we see the Thunderbolt picking up the kill on the Gengar. So from here, we do have the Incineroar going to be coming back in, and the Sludge Bomb obviously into the Protect. We've got no damage coming out here. However, this incoming turn, though, we do have Fake Out pressure. And so, depending on who it decides to target, we could see this Tapu Fini living the turn. However, if both of them do target it, I don't see a situation that this Fini is going to be able to live.
Now, this Nihilgo's been using Sludge Bomb in succession, and it leads me to believe that it may be Scarf, so it can't lock into Power Gem if that's what it needs.
Yeah, so if this... we can assume, most likely, seeing as it's only used one move both times we've seen it, is we do see Fake Out fired off, though, into the Tapu Koko. So the Sludge Bomb does come out, though, and it does outspeed, and it does pick up the kill on that Tapu Fini.
Cleaning up Fini and picking up the Beast Boost. This game is looking pretty good for Daravone.
Yeah, from this situation, Daravone's definitely looking to bring this to a Game 3 now that he's got Beast Boost on that Nihilego, and he's still got the Tapu Koko sitting here. So most likely going to be able to clean up this game from here, clicking Sludge Bomb and Thunderbolt into this Incineroar.
Incineroar may have a Pinch Berry. I don't think his item's been revealed. That would help him in this 2v1 situation.
However, we're still staring down at 2v1, and it definitely doesn't enjoy eating Thunderbolts. As we do see the Pinch Berry proc, so that's good information to know for the Game 3 that's going to be coming, most likely. And judging from standard Incineroars, if this thing's not carrying Low Kick, it does not have many ways to be able to actually hit that Nihilego. since Nihilego does have low defense stats, but the rock typing is definitely going to be helping it out, though, to be able to resist those fire moves. As we do see, it does take the recoil, and it barely hangs on. However, just a Sludge Bomb needs to be clicked here, and that's going to be the end of Game 2.
Most definitely. So it is looking like Daravone will take Game 2, bringing it to a Game 3. As you can see, he did adapt very well after that Game 1.
Yeah, after Game 1, being able to have the Blastoise do a little bit more than just taking the Sludge Bomb and getting poisoned and slowly dying off basically to the poison, we do actually see that he does take it back, and Game 2 does go his way.
And this is just some classic grindy Pokemon play. Both players outplaying each other. I can see them both going for the same leads. Neither of them really had a hole in their lead.
It just came down more to who's going to be faking out who and what exactly is going to be happening. But we do see that Kartana on Justin's side is extremely bulky. Since that thing was able to take a Sacred Sword from Daravone's Kartana and then a follow-up Water Spout from full health. And that thing hung on barely, but the fact that thing was able to hang on is definitely something to show how much bulk is on it.
And I wonder if Daravone will opt for the Z Tailwind on this Game 3, third game in a row.
Most likely he's going to be going for Z Tailwind because there's no other flying moves that Kartana is going to be using. So if you're clicking Tailwind, you might as well be clicking the Z Tailwind.
Definitely.
And we have seen that the Tapu Koko, we do confirm that it was Life Orb from the previous game, so there's not going to be an Electrium Z fired off. We know that the Mega is going to be on the Blastoise. So unless that this Incineroar in the back or the Snorlax are a Z move, which is very unlikely from what we're used to seeing, we can assume that he's got no reason to not just be clicking the Z Tailwind if he does bring it.
I'd love to see Snorlax making an appearance in the back. I really think once they get to those endgame turns, Snorlax would really pull it out for him.
The issue here, though, is whenever you see that Incineroar can always be pressuring a knockoff, as we are starting to head into Game 3. Will either player change up their leads that they've been going with, though, for the previous rounds? We'll
find out.
We'll find out in a second and find out just what they're going to be going for here. As we see Gengar Kartana, which is a little different from before.
Mixing it up.
Let's see if Daravone... Nope, Daravone's stuck with the same lead.
And that just means he's very confident in these two Pokemon he's been bringing to the table.
However, one issue that he could have, though, is if he goes for Tailwind on this Kartana, you could be taking a Sacred Sword and a Shadow Ball on it, which will kill it immediately.
Definitely.
Blastoise cannot fake out, though, into the Gengar, seeing as it is a ghost, so...
And we saw a Sacred Sword didn't do much to the opposing Kartana in the last game.
So there's not too much that is really pressuring the Kartana, as we see it swap out immediately into the Incineroar, maybe assuming that there was a fake out into that slot.
I think he predicted a fake out Sacred Sword into that Incineroar slot.
So we see the Intimidate fired off onto both of them, which is going to help be able to weaken the fake out damage and weaken the Kartana, much more importantly. As we see both Megas, we can assume, coming out here. And, yep, there's the Blastoise Mega. There's zero advantage, really, to keeping what's most likely Torrent as the base ability as opposed to Mega Launcher.
Definitely.
So from here, we're likely going to see there is no fake out. That Gengar went first. And it did target Blastoise, which means if it was going for Water Spout, it is going to be weakened. If he was trying to get cheeky and just ignore the fake out turn one. But we do see the Z Tailwind coming out from Daravone for the third time.
And I'm surprised. I thought he was really going to get aggressive with that play. I thought he was going to send a Sacred Sword into that Incineroar slot.
And Justin does read this by weakening that thing off with a Sludge Bomb immediately. As we see just under 50% to that Incineroar, which means it can't just finish it up cleanly.
Now, it would be a roll, but Water Spout may be able to clean up Gengar. We do have to keep in mind, Kartana is at -1. And Sacred Sword, notably, only ignores your opponent's stat changes. It does not ignore your own.
But we'll see Sacred Sword is coming out, and it is into the Incineroar, but if he crits it, and he does get the crit.
Z Tailwind, everyone.
So
Thank you.
We do see the ignore for the attack drop, as it is able to get that kill, and now it goes back to neutral, as the Blastoise flinches, and Icy Wind is fired off to try and slow down the enemies. As we do see, that is a substantial chunk to that Kartana, which means it's nowhere near as bulky as Justin's.
No way. It chunked him real good.
But this Blastoise being at a quarter health, though, Water Spouts are definitely not going to be clicked anymore. We're most likely looking at Water Pulse and whatever other move is going to be there for the fourth
So I think
move.
Justin's Kartana comes in now. Being as bulky as it is, it can take just about anything from these two Pokemon, assuming he doesn't get a crit.
However, the issue is, though, we're still sitting at the Kartana both of them being in Tailwind, most likely going to be outspeeding both the Gengar and whatever comes in, unless there's a Choice Scarf in play.
Now, Blastoise hasn't revealed his other moves yet. I could totally see him just packing Ice Beam in the back, maybe Dark Pulse.
Typically, those are the moves that could also have Aura Sphere it learns to be able to help if there's a Snorlax on the enemy team, as Tapu Fini ends up coming in. And so from this situation, though, this Kartana is looking pretty good with the Leaf Blade into that slot. However, Justin may be trying to take advantage of that and ignoring it.
And he knows he's facing a Kartana. I'm sure he won't just let his Fini go down that easily.
So from here, we're going to see exactly what's fired off in a few seconds. Most likely, though, if I'm in Justin's spot, I'm liking the Protect on the Tapu Fini. However, if Daravone does read this and targets down into the Gengar, we could see that thing dropping to a double up of Water Pulse and potentially Leaf Blade.
And the Gengar opts to just protect and sustain itself a little bit longer. I agree with that play wholeheartedly.
As Tapu Fini also does to try and stall out these Tailwind turns coming out and to scout out what's happening. As we do see the Leaf Blade into the Tapu Fini, so he's taking no risks at all. As Water Pulse also goes into Justin's Gengar.
Now he could switch in his Kartana to any of these two slots if Daravone does opt for the same moves, and it'll eat those attacks very well.
Yeah, both of those moves it's shown to be able to take. However, the Blastoise, we have seen it Water Pulse into the Gengar before, and it did around as much health as it does have left. So the issue here is, if he does go for the Water Pulse, is it able to actually take the hit and live? Because it's definitely going to be a roll. As we do see the Leaf Blade from the boosted crit hit ratio, you're always going to be getting that crit, so that Tapu Fini is never going to be sticking around.
And now we're finally at +1 now that we came back from that Intimidate drop. 2 Beast Boosts up.
As we see the Gengar actually outspeed it and be able to hit it after the Icy Wind drop, which is interesting to note, but however, it is Game 3, so unless they pair up much later, that information is not going to help them out much more, but it showing that it does outspeed it, though, is definitely good to know.
Daravone sitting in a really good position, 3 Mons of 2. He does have to remind himself that Kartana is at -1 speed as well, +1 attack.
However, Tailwind is now gone, which means that Gengar is going to be outspeeding everything
It's running
barring a Tapu
rampant.
Koko that could come in. As we see Justin throw out the Kartana. So they've been bringing the exact same things to every game here. So there's been no Incineroar or Snorlax from Daravone, and there's been no Zapdos or Landorus for Justin these games. However, we can assume...
Now this roll's going to mean a lot, because Justin's endgame looks pretty strong if he can handle this Koko.
However, the most interesting thing to note here is that we're playing the speed tie game. This Gengar and Tapu Koko, we can assume if they're both max speed, there's definitely going to be a coin flip coming out on who outspeeds the other one. Since both of them pressure the opposing one, Gengar can Sludge Bomb the Tapu Koko, it can also Shadow Ball that Kartana, and Daravone's Tapu Koko can just fire off a Thunderbolt into rain since Tapu Fini is gone, so there is
And he wins the
nothing to
speed
pressure.
tie again. He is 2 for 2
So
winning
Daravone
these.
does win it, which means Gengar drops, which means there is very little pressure outside of a Sacred Sword into into Kartana. As we do see the Sacred Sword come out, outspeeding it because of the -1, and it does hang on, and Tailwind's
And another
up
Tailwind
itself.
is up, and this should be clinching the game for Daravone.
3-1 situation with a +1 Kartana. Tapu Koko's got its terrain. Tailwind's up. This is most likely going to be game over for Justin here.
And let's just see.
Unless for some miracle this... Yep, and there's the Tapu Koko with the Thunderbolt. How much damage does this do?
Oh
That
my-
is a 3-hit KO.
Ate that! That is crazy.
However, the Sacred Sword from +1 Kartana comes out into it with a critical hit boost rate. So yeah, from there we do see that Kartana being able to clean up the opposing Kartana.
And Daravone Soup will take that Game 3, winning his Round 2 matchup against Justin Burns. Hopefully we can get him in here for an interview. Stay tuned.
Soon we should be able to see him for the interview. We'll see exactly what happens once they do get back here, though.
And stay tuned for the other amazing rounds we got coming. You adapted very well. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so I felt that my matchup was really good against him, so I just had to go with my autopilot mode.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I felt that in the game 1 I got kind of hacked out a bit.
Yeah.
With the Shadow Ball getting the crit and the Sludge Bomb in the poison, it was just
definitely
devastating there.
And we noticed that all 3 games, the 2 of you took the same leads to each match. Did you ever expect him to bring different Pokemon, or were you pretty much expecting the same ones every time?
So I wasn't really worried about the lead matchup. I felt like his lead was kind of what I wanted.
Yeah.
I like seeing Incineroar out there so I can like fake it out and then set up the Tailwind pretty much guaranteed.
Definitely.
Because he can't like taunt me because of the Z Crystal, and
right.
if he sets up Trick Room, then that's a really cool move, I guess. There.
And that's why we knew you were opting for that Z Tailwind every game.
Yeah.
Have you competed at any other regionals this season?
Yeah. I got top 32 at Collinsville.
Yeah.
And top 64 at Hartford. And then Toronto, I brought like competitive Goth there, and
very nice.
I didn't do as well.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of Goth here today too,
okay.
as well. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out, talk about, or just another thing you'd like the audience to know as well?
So I'm from Toronto.
Represent.
Yeah, it was a 13-hour drive, so I came here at around 5 a.m. and I've been up since then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I got my sister's team ready pretty late, and her Snorlax was not max happiness.
Yeah.
So I was up all night giving it like berries and stuff.
The last minute.
But so shout outs first off like to Snowhio, you know, all my people
Let's
there.
go, yeah.
How about Canada as well, because we're kind of looked down a bit compared to everyone else, but that's pretty. We're gonna try to make a comeback this year.
You're here showing you guys mean business. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, my little sister in juniors, she has. She has the same team as me, so maybe they'll see a brother and sister win. That would be really awesome.
Incredible, dude.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. You did awesome. Keep doing your best today.
Also, the biggest shout out to my mom and dad. They drove 13 hours here and took time off of work.
The best sponsors.
The parents. Yeah. Thanks a lot to them.
Everyone needs that mom-dad sponsor, but thank you very much. Good luck the rest of your day, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.